1, 2, 3. Welcome to the show.
Get familiar.
Get familiar.
Get familiar.
Welcome to Win Big with Clinton Sparks. It's time to get familiar. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for YesJulz. Woo! Let's go. YesJulz is somebody that wins big, baby. One of the things that impresses me most about you is the first day I met you, and we met at the Dash office. And it's funny, too, because before you came in, I kept hearing about you, right? And I kept hearing, you about the way people probably hear about me sometimes, meaning like people get, when you're persistent and you know what you're trying to do and you got big plans, it annoys other people sometimes. You know what I mean? Because they're like, man, yeah, she wants this, they want that, they want to do this, they want to do that. And it's like, bro, because I'm looking 10 steps ahead of you guys. I already know what we can do, where we can go. Just shut up and trust me, right? And I can see that you have that same mentality. And when you came into the office and you had your notebook and you were writing, you opened it up. I seen a whole page full of plans and ideas and things you wanted to do. The day I met you, I was like, she's fucking dope.
Get familiar.
Always having this energy since day one. It's really refreshing. I just had the most incredible 4-hour massage, so I'm very relaxed. Happy to be here right now. But yeah, it's sometimes it's overwhelming. Like I realized, because I finally met someone who reminds me of myself, and I realized how I could at some points be overwhelming to others. And so in the past 6 to 12 months, I've really worked on trying to compartmentalize my ideas and passion and enthusiasm. Right. And really delivering the message in a way that is digestible for the person who's listening. Because I never always approached everyone with the same, like, I want to do this, and then we're gonna do, and it was sometimes a lot of people were like, who is this crazy girl? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just now have started getting back into taking on projects and building, because I took some time off. And so I'm really enjoying this workflow more now that I have this like new structure and these boundaries in place.
So what is the biggest hurdle being somebody that has ideas? Because trust me, I can relate. And I even talk about it in my book, you have. And I talk about people that come in and when they're not focused on like what the meeting is about and they have a whole bunch of ideas, everything from the bio on their Instagram to when they come into a meeting and they tell me that they do 7 different things, I'm almost like, I don't even know what the fuck I'm supposed to be a fan of or what I'm supposed to do, because you tell me so many different things, I'm lost. So it's overwhelming. And I have a feeling, and you just kind of described it, like throughout your career, would you say that your enthusiasm and your passion about great ideas was also your Achilles heel?
Yeah, definitely. I think so, because, I utilized the word yes in my branding when I decided to make my name YesJulz, as a way to signify that I would not take no for an answer, that I was the go-to person who would say yes to making anything you wanted happen, whether it was like an album release party with 24 hours notice and no budget, or, whatever it may be, finding sponsors for your event while I'm in the middle of throwing 3 of my own. And so, really saying yes to so many things at once it helped, because I did become the go-to person. And so I was the go-to people were going to, but I wasn't able to, up to my standards at least, perform to my best abilities, because I didn't know how to differentiate, which projects to take on and which not to, and when to say and really prioritize like my vision. And so, yeah, I think that was definitely something that held me back in some areas, but it's also been like my greatest gift as well.
Right.
Because the best experiences have come from those things that I've said yes to last minute, or just like wasn't a part of the plan. You know what I mean? And I took a chance and said yes. And then next thing you know, like I'm managing an artist, or, working with Kanye, or doing this or doing that. And it's like, these things were never things that I planned on doing. So I try to balance, going with my gut and like trusting that I'm on this journey and, the universe has my back, and also trying to stick to the blueprint, finding like perfect balance.
So when you just brought up, putting events together, working with Kanye, managing artists, Like even just those three things right there are already like, if somebody didn't know who you were and they're watching this, they'd be like, who the fuck, what does she do? Right. So let's go back, right? Because a lot of people that maybe just peruse the internet or go by and give you a quick like might just be liking you because you look pretty or you look nice or you're on a nice boat or you're with other pretty girls, right? And you're much more than that. What was the beginning of YesJulz? How did you make a name for yourself? Why did people know to call you for a party? How did you have the ability to make the party come to life and pull everything together? Where do you come from and how did you get to a point where you became the person that people called for you to say yes to?
Wow. You're so good at this. I think I threw a Project X type party when I was a senior in high school, and it got it made a lot of noise. It was in the news, and all of the radio stations were talking about it. And I think it's even before that. Ever since I was like 8 years old, I'd call my friends over, and we'd all paint, and then I would take our paintings and like hang them up on the back hallway of my mom's house and have the parents go up and down the hallway looking at this gallery of artwork that we put together and then make them buy the paintings for like $2 a pop.
Yeah.
So, and then I'd split like the commission 50% with my friends. So I'd have $5 at the end of the thing. So organizing things, experiences, and just
Wait,
like
how old were you when you were doing that?
Oh, my mom has videos of me doing that when I was like 7.
And where are you from?
So I was born in Miami. I was adopted when I was 9. And my mom is the counselor from my foster home. And so I was going to Boston to visit her even before she adopted me, since I was like 7 years old. So this was actually in Boston when I did this, which I know you're.
Boston is the home of hustlers, baby.
Hey, yeah. So, and I just have a theory that I think that it's everything is destined. I'm not going to say proud is the right word, but I'm grateful to come from the foster care system because I think that that's what helped me develop a lot of the tools that I utilize to, do everything like with the questions that you're asking, it's like, yeah, my ability to find common ground with just about anybody in any room I'm in, to just like make those connections and see talent in people that
Mhm.
that most others wouldn't see, because I believe that that's how I ended up with my mom, is that she saw something in me that obviously other people didn't see
Right,
or would have had adopted already,
right.
so I think just carrying the spirit of my mom with me and everything that I do, and
Are you saying your
that's just been
biological mother or the one that adopted you?
the one that adopted me. So if I'm talking about my biological mom, I'm just gonna say biological mom, but like
Okay,
the word mom is like the woman who raised me. So
right.
that's, and shout out with an International Women's Day, and shout out to my birth mother too, because just having the strength to like be able to recognize that she didn't have what she needed, the tools she needed to raise a young woman, and making that decision to like give me to somebody who could do a better job.
We got to stop for a second because you're saying some really loaded, impacting things that I don't want to just skim over because these are the things. Now I totally understand why you are who you are. You know what I mean? And like, I get it completely because of the similar backgrounds that we had, right? And I get the feeling of, I think that a lot of people that have achieved success, pretty much almost most of the people I ever talk to that have like incredible success and are really good at communicating and coming up with ideas and really creative, all have kind of similar backgrounds where, they lacked being loved, they were bullied, they were sexually abused, they felt abandoned, like just things that went on, they were homeless, right? So all these things is kind of like the common denominator between most like killers, right? And when I mean killers, I mean at life, not serial killers, right? So but like,
No, it's like you go back to where you came from. It's like when you go and donate to a college, you're probably going to go donate to your alma mater. It's if you come from a certain community, you're going to want to give back to that community, and your traits are going to reflect that. And I mean, for the most part. So yeah, I think that's been something like that's been for me. My mother saved me because I was going to be somebody that was not in a position that I am today had I not had someone to say, hey, this girl's not getting in trouble because she's a bad person. She's getting in trouble because she just went through XYZ and needs to dance it out or sing it out or learn how to play the piano or focus her energy somewhere else. She needs to have paint in the house. She needs to be able to express herself. And so like freedom through, through expression, and therapy through expression is so important. And that's why I think I'm so drawn to music, because the frequency of sound has such an important impact on us, on humanity, period. And so that's why I love doing parties, because music is the center of that. And it allows people to just be somewhere and listen and dance and
enjoy life. Enjoy life. And
Yeah.
I want to continue the story to my original question, but I didn't know this about your past, and I didn't know you were going to say such like powerful shit. Like I didn't even know you were adopted. I didn't know like the fact that you was
You
like,
didn't know? I thought you knew that.
I didn't know. And I also didn't know that you were out here like, slanging little kids' pictures when you were a little kid and splitting the profits. And it's so
I got suspended when I was in elementary school for selling pencils on quiz day.
it's funny because when I was in high school, similar to your painting thing, I started my first company too when I was 12. It was called Rent a Teen. I got all the teenagers around my way, and I'd go like solicit to like take out your trash, shovel your walkway, clean your
Oh my,
house. And
Rent a Teen.
yeah, it sounds horrible today, but back then, like it was back then it was okay, right? It was cute. Now it's like, yo, what are you talking about, Rent a Teen, right? And I would like take a cut from everybody. I would send them out to do the jobs. And then I would do it through high school. And then I remember on our junior year, we had junior skip day. I called a place called Water Country in New Hampshire. And I was like, how much is it per ticket? And it was like $27.50.
I went to Water Country.
That's why I mentioned it, because I'm sure you're familiar with it, right?
No, there's a video of me making up a commercial for Water Country. I have to see you.
I wish you got to send it. I wish you had it live right now on your phone and you could play it.
So you called Water Country and you said, how much are your tickets and what happened?
Right. They said $27.50. I go, how many people do I got to bring that significantly lower? They're like, if you bring 40 people, we'll bring the ticket down to $10 each. So I was like, oh shit. So I planned the whole junior skip day at my high school. I charged everybody $12.50. So I'd make $2.50, but everybody else was saving $17.50. Well, $15.50 really, right? And like, so it was awesome. We went down there and everyone had a great day. It was the greatest day ever. But then one of my friends found out at the end that I made $2.50 off each person, and everybody was fucking mad at me. And they're like, that's crazy that you took money from your friends. I'm like, I saved you guys $15.50. What are you talking about?
And I organized the whole thing and spent hours and took the initiative to call. I mean, it's crazy.
But I'm sharing this story because I feel like you and I have been in similar situations where we're here for the good of the people around us, but sometimes people don't see what we see, and they look at it like we're manipulating or we're trying to get over or we're trying to do something, when it's like, no, bro, like if you just let me finish, you're going to win. And
Win big.
Say what?
I said win big.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's funny because I just learned like a very important lesson this weekend. It was my birthday and I was celebrating, and I just moved into this place, and I obviously need better internet. And I had a friend pass away, and I was just not really in the mood to celebrate my birthday. And so like I kind of said to my friends, like, hey guys, I don't want to plan anything for my birthday, but if you guys want to step up and like, do something, that would be amazing. And I just felt like, I plan things all the time. I'm the one that takes the initiative. I'm the one that's taking us out and on boats and doing this and doing that. Like, my friends should do this for me. Right. And so I'm being disappointed throughout the weekend. And what I realized was like,
wait, you were disappointed because nobody stepped up?
Well, but no, I do have amazing friends, but the point is that people didn't do what I expected them to do. And the point is that I shouldn't have had expectations to begin with, because at the end of the day, I do what I do for people because it's what I love to do. And because I care about them. And so it shouldn't be for any other reason, And so I think you doing what you do in the space that you're in and me doing what I do in the space that I'm in, like people aren't always going to understand it. And I think I'm finally at a place where I'm like, that's okay. Because I don't need people to understand, because I'm not here for that. Like I'm just here to do what I need to do and keep doing it.
Right. So that's a realization you had this weekend during your birthday.
I have it all the time. Like it's funny because life will keep throwing lessons at you until you really learn them fully. I'm always relearning. Um, but yeah, it was a pleasant reminder this week, like, just continue to put your best efforts forth and expect nothing in return, because that's where the feeling deflated and feeling like you've given too much from your cup, that's where
Yeah.
that comes from. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny that you bring that up, and then I want to go back to your story of how you got to where you are, because it's awesome what you said so far. But it's interesting point that you bring up, because obviously we've both heard the saying, expectations lead to disappointment, right? And
Mm.
and it's funny because you give so much, and you're always trying to make sure other people are okay, or they're having a good time, or they're having fun, or you're cheering them up, or you're the life of the party, right? And every now and then you forget that you deserve to be treated that way, because you're so worried about making sure everybody else is happy and good. And every now and then you like have a moment where you're like, if I love you and you love you, who's left to love me, right? And you're sitting there like, and then what you try to do, especially people that come from the type of childhood that it sounds like you came from, you have to self-soothe a lot, right? Because you're used to doing it, because you did it when you were young. So when you get older, you start thinking to yourself like, nah, it's cool, man. And then you make excuses like, it's cool, I can't expect things. But no, you fucking do deserve gratitude. You do deserve love and support and reciprocation. And like, you of all people, all you do is give. Like, I watch you all the time. I'm like, your whole life is about giving people. You, all of you, all the time, right? I see you supporting even me. My book come out, and you did a whole video and you talked about it, and I seen you post a couple times, just because that's who you are. I want to help my friends. I want to support my friends. I want to highlight my friends. You know what I mean? It's like, you do deserve to be highlighted, and you do deserve to have the reciprocated love and support. So I wouldn't settle for it's all good. If they don't do the things that I wouldn't settle for it. I would, at some point you say, you know what, man? You don't get tainted by it, and
Well,
you don't get mad. You don't get,
that's why I remove myself. Like, like I took a break from the internet for 3 months because I didn't feel that reciprocation. So I was like, I'm just going to pour into me. And the results have been amazing. So, like, I'm just learning how to set those boundaries and like really like, okay, so like somebody said something to me today, like there's certain people that bring something to the table to where you're happy to pick up the phone when they call, because that they're going to give you some kind of energy in some way, shape, or form.
right,
And then there's other people that see them calling, you ignore the call
right,
because you don't talk to them.
right.
And it's like, those people, go ahead and cut them out. Like for whatever reason, I was like allowing those people to stay around and still just ignoring the call.
Right.
It's like, no, those people, they have to be out, like, because they're taking up space in my phone.
Right. Right.
And
Well,
so yeah.
well, the
so-
good thing is that, making yourself, doing good for others does bring you joy, right? It does make you happy. So you are filling your cup of happiness and joy by doing good for others, right? And that doesn't mean that, you should discount the fact that people don't reciprocate it as much as you do, but still, like, you are still filling your cup with happiness. And I think, even and I think you may be able to relate to this, when you're young and you don't feel loved, right? You then have this like insatiable appetite to make sure other people feel loved. And you want to make them feel like they matter. And you want to be the person that helps them not feel the way you've ever felt by not feeling loved or feeling like you were important or mattered. So like I think, do you relate to that?
That's crazy that you just said that, because when I on Sunday, somebody organized Baby Mama Fit organized like a birthday rollerblade, and there's people that like flew in from other cities to come to my birthday rollerblade, and one was this girl who was like, "Thank you for making me feel seen,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Wow, those are very particular words,
Right.
and they're very beautiful words," and I was like, wow, that's so nice of you to say. Like, thank you so much. And she said, no, really, like, I hope you realize you really shine a light on people, and you made me feel seen today. And I can't thank you enough for like welcoming me into this community. It's really been like life changing. And I'm like, the community she's talking about is literally the workout that we do on Zoom
Yeah.
at 12 p.m.
Yeah.
But we take for granted what it's like to have community when there's many people who don't even have that. There's people who don't have like more than 5 people that they would call on the phone
Right.
to invite to their birthday party or to, for help for
Hmm.
something, so to even have access to a community is, something, it's a gift. And I guess I that's something, it's a gift that I love to be able to give.
Right.
Um, because of what you said, I never really, I never broke it down in my mind like that.
Yeah.
That might be the reason why. But yeah, I'm sure that you're correct.
Yeah, no, it's 100%. And those same people have a hard time accepting compliments and also acknowledging that they had a positive impact on somebody. So I'm sure when people tell you what you mean to them or how you've helped them, you're just like, oh, it's cool, it's cool, it's cool. And you just keep it moving. And like, because you can't stop and accept the greatness that you are or what you bring to other people because you still
All this,
feel there's still a hole inside
all this,
you.
did you go to college for psychology, Clinton?
No, I just lived. I lived life.
Yeah, you're very smart,
Uh,
very intuitive.
Thank you, as are you. So let's go back to you're the child. Like even that, even when you were helping other little kids, that's you being a kid that doesn't feel like you're getting the attention and the love. And you want to make sure these other kids are getting the shine that you feel like they deserve. You were intuitive from a kid to help other people.
Wow.
So let's pick up from that. So you started helping
Oh
other
my God,
kids.
tell me more.
Huh? So lay down on the couch and we'll talk some more about this. Yes, Julz. No, the reason I'm breaking this down is not to sound like I'm psychologically superior or anything, but to make people that are watching realize, because a lot of people relate. There's a lot of people that hurt, right? And a lot of people feel emptiness inside or abandonment or whatever, and they don't understand the reasons that they are who they are, whether it's good or bad, right? Alcoholic or druggie or abuser or a liar or a thief to an angel to a do-gooder or a social, like your youth affects who you become. And a lot of times you then are built in a way that you don't even understand or take the time, and you don't have the tools or the ability to dissect yourself to understand why you are who you are, whether it's good or bad now. And that's the reason why I wanted to like outline what you were saying for people that are watching that could relate.
No, I think all great points. You're very right on many levels. So I think, yeah, so I've always been doing these things, and the first time that I did it and it made me money was when I was a senior in high school, and from there the clubs in Tampa started reaching out, and I just became like a promoter in Tampa when I was 18. From there, always just being somebody who loved music and was very passionate about being one of the first people to like download songs, just artist discovery, new music discovery. Certain tent poles in the early career was like when I was 20, I was managing a club and we were the first people to book Drake in Tampa.
Wow.
And I wasn't even old enough to get into the club yet, but I was managing it.
Yeah.
So and I thought that was like a huge, like, I thought I was well into my career then. Little did I know that I hadn't even started, you know what I mean? And
Right.
and then I moved to Miami and, just work my way up. Thought that I was going to come and work at Live right away because I was the biggest person in Tampa, but that's not
Right.
how it worked.
Right.
I had $500 to my name that got stolen from my purse at a bus stop. And I was talking to my mom waiting for the bus because I was taking the bus when I first moved here. And so then I had to crash my friend's couch and I waitressed everywhere and happened to serve Maverick Carter coffee one day. And, he took me to Live and I tried to get the job at Live again. And that's how
Now, for those watching, who's Maverick Carter?
He's LeBron James's manager. So I had an entryway at that point, somebody that actually knew the owner of Live. And so I was able to get my application to somebody who was going to view it that could make a difference. And then that's when I got my job there. And then from there realized, wow, Live is taking care of, LeBron, but what about Mark Lynn, who's the head of Nike? They're leaving him over in the corner and nobody's giving him shots. So I would make sure that the people who ran the brands that I admired and respected were taken care of and became the go-to person in Miami when that they would call. And so how I developed relationships with Diageo and Converse and Nike and Beats by Dre, etc. Omar doing the marketing there and all these different people. Like I would take care of them when nobody else was really like trying to pay attention to the, because they would come back and go to the club without the athletes or without the artists or the actresses. And, I would still take care of them. And so
So
then when
smart.
it was time for me to do my own events, I had that network that I could lean on. Hey, can I have some money for this event, Red Bull? Hey, what if I go ahead and put Beats by Dre headphones on my DJs? Can I get some support for this?
Yep.
And that was really before influencer marketing existed,
Right.
So I was just really proposing things that these brands had never considered before.
Right.
They were like, she wants us to support, and still, it's something that I think now, obviously, the influencers, quote unquote, I hate to, utilize that word, but are realizing that they can ask for money for more things than just posting and doing a call out on a, with a caption or, a product in shot. It's like I wanted brands to support my ideas, and my ideas usually had to do with supporting others. So New Music Mondays, like Jaeger might be willing to give me X amount of dollars to post just a picture of me with Jaeger or making a Jaeger cocktail for Women's Day or whatever. But when I ask them for money to do this idea where I'm funding independent artists, they'll give me double what they were going to give me just to post as myself.
Right.
So that's where the concept to start an agency came about. And really, like, how can I maximize my income off of the ideas that I have and the consultation that I'm able to give, and these experiences that I can provide. So, the agency took off. And then from there, I was really helping artists supplement their costs for album releases, tours. You're up and coming artist. I'm playing your music at my parties. I'm flying you out, having you perform when you've never even performed songs live before. Now you have to go on your tour and you only get $500 a night where you're going, whether it was made in Tokyo or this person or that person. I'm like, oh, well, I know somebody at Uber. Let me call them.
Yep.
I know somebody here. Next thing you know, I'm like, hey, I'm kind of like an agent. And then you're in Miami and you need a studio. And you asked me for a studio. Well, I'm getting you a studio and then an engineer. And now I'm like playing you beats. And now I'm like inviting local artists or other artists that are in town by. And next thing you know, I'm like, hey, I'm kind of like an A&R.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as you can, I'm sure, relate, and there's so many different people, I've had conversations like this with Virgil when he first really started, altering his, wearing many different hats. And
Yep.
he went from DJ to bin trill shirts to, Kanye creative director, like all these different hats that he wore. And every time it was kind of a struggle to get respect when shifting, but it's kind of like a high for people like us. Like we enjoy that. Can I smoke a blunt on this?
No, please do not smoke a blunt on this.
Okay. Just kidding.
I'm sure you just say, can I have a cookie? Sure, you can eat some cookies.
Can I have a cookie?
Yeah. So when do you think, and this is a, I kind of think I know what the answer is going to be, but I want for the people to pay attention because I know what your answer is going to be. And then I want to follow up because I want people to understand this. When do you feel like you've kind of like, all right, I'm on a stride now. I'm YesJulz. I'm popping. People know who I am and what I'm here for. I'm kind of cracking and I made it.
Once I really started the never not working mantra and hashtag and like started activating for brands, I think that like my mission was always like, I don't want, even when I was a waitress and trying to throw parties and, even the concept of like Snapchat and utilizing brands there, I never wanted to just be a cute girl. Like I never wanted to be that girl that was fun and cool and could like show you a good time and had good cute friends. Like there's plenty of that here in this city.
Right.
I always want to be respected for my ideas and my ability to bring something to the table and execute.
Right.
And so for me, the moment where I knew I had gotten there, it was really like Forbes solidified that for me. That was that was a really proud moment for me. It was like, okay, boom, I got respect in the business world because this is a brand that business people respect.
Right.
So it was like Complex and all these other things prior to that. Like my parents didn't know or care about any of that stuff. Even when Ryan Seacrest was like, oh, YesJulz, one of the top 7 accounts to follow on Snapchat. My mom's like, what's Snapchat? But when Forbes is like, hey, 30 under 30 for marketing, that's something that I can take to my abuelita and she's going to understand that, So that for me was a big moment.
Right. So wearing so many hats and doing so many things and having so many aspirations, because I know you want to do 100 things, right? So how do you manage not dropping the ball, or do you drop the ball sometimes when you do so many things, and how do you deal with dropping the ball?
I drop the ball all the time. I'm a human.
Right.
Um, I just pick it back up and keep shooting. And sometimes it takes me longer to get the ball back than others, you know?
Right.
Um,
Hold on.
sometimes
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, I pick the ball back up and take another shot. I've never heard that when you hear, what happens when you drop the ball? Like, I've never heard someone say, pick the ball back up and take another shot.
yeah, I mean, I just, you know, it's like sometimes I might have to go to Hawaii for 3 months and just like island fever out for a second and get my inspiration back and like meditate until the universe tells me to move back to Miami because that's where I'm happiest. And then, you know, I'm kind of just really on this ride and really grateful. And I don't know, it's frustrating sometimes because I do have so many things that I want to do, and every day I'm like, I'm not doing enough.
Right.
Um,
You need
it's
5 more of
frustrating
you.
my own expectations, but really and that's all it is like I'm trying to impress myself, you know. So I'm a really hard person to impress. I think for, you know, up until like last year, I was also concerned with impressing everyone else.
Right.
And that was really difficult. And so it made it easier for me to get burnt out because that's exhausting when you're not only like taking your feedback and applying it, but the feedback of everyone else as well. It's like, you know, it becomes draining. But I think, well, I know as there's a few things that are very important to me. One, I have to be expressing myself creatively. Two, I have to be making an impact. And three, I have to be collaborating with people who have like a similar moral compass to me. And so, you know, there's things that are in place that I have in place to like keep me on that trajectory now. But before it was like, you know, like I said, I would like take on any part. Like now it's like, no, I don't want to just do an album release for anyone. I don't want to just throw a birthday party for anyone. I don't want to just make money posting for Fashion Nova. Like I turned that bag down because how can I post for Fashion Nova, but then post on Women's Day saying that I love women and want to support women when that's a brand that's constantly biting designs off of all of my friends who are incredible women designers.
Right.
And also like not good for the environment. And you know, there's just, you know, and it's hard not to be hypocritical when you're human, because I say that, but like I care about the environment, but my favorite water is essential water. And so it's really hard for me not to buy those water bottles, you know.
Right.
But like I care about the environment, so it's a change that I need to make, and I'm just constantly trying to be keeping up with my own standards for others and myself.
Right. Julz, what do you think what is the biggest failure during the course of your career that you took so hard and felt it was so devastating that you might not resuscitate from it? Has there ever been
For
any?
me, it was definitely, I mean, there's been a couple, but like the first thing that comes to mind is I had a deal with MTV, and I ended up not having that deal go through because I had like a controversial weekend, the weekend that I turned in that contract signed. And I've been working on that deal for 6 months. And I was going to be hosting the TRL reboot and producing 8 different concepts across MTV and VH1.
Wow.
And hosting red carpets. It was like basically a similar package to what Terrence Shea has. And that was my dream come true. There's like videos of me pretending to be an MTV reporter
Yeah.
when I was a kid.
You were made for that. Yeah.
So yeah, that was like heartbreaking.
And so did MTV call you and say, hey, you know, we've changed our mind?
They were like, hey, like we're doing a revamp of this network, and with recent, you know, news, like, you know, recent like happenings being, we can't have you be the face of this new show with everything that's going on. There's just too much controversy surrounding your name. And I'm like, damn.
Right.
I just fucked my dream, like my whole dream, over a dumb tweet, you know.
I don't mean to sound naive, but I don't know what the controversy was. Is it something you don't want to talk
It was
about?
I was posting Rolling Loud, and it was I had tweeted a picture of a shirt that my friend gave me that said "Ninjas lie a lot." He
Ninja.
has one that's he has one that says "Crackers lie a lot," and then there's another one that says "Ninjas lie a lot," but it's not ninjas.
Yeah.
So I called him when he dropped the package off to me, and I was like, DJ, are you nuts? Like, you can't be dropping off graphic tees like this to your like friends who aren't Black.
Yeah.
And he was like, Julz, good, like you could wear it. And I'm like, oh yeah, like you think I could wear it? Let's see what people think. And I tweeted a picture of it and said, hey, do you guys think it would be cool if I wore this to the festival tomorrow? Obviously being sarcastic, obviously noting that I thought that there was something not cool with the fact that somebody who's not Black would wear that shirt. But 140 character tweet doesn't really get sarcasm across, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was like the whole world flipped upside down. It was like that's what really kicked off like the culture vulture racist conversation, and like gave everybody what they needed on a silver platter to really like house that conversation and give it validity
Right.
in their so it was something that MTV just didn't want to gamble with, which I have to obviously understand and respect. But it was heartbreaking for me, and I knew that had I been the one to really reboot that show, if I was able to host it, I feel very strongly that it would have done well, and we'd have TRL right now, and it would be fire. But
Yeah, I agree.
Everything happens for a reason. So
You must have thought like, oh my God, I'm a rap. No one's gonna fuck with me anymore.
no, I mean, people were saying that, but I didn't really feel like that because I knew that I didn't mean it in that way.
Yeah.
And I knew my intentions, and like I know and also because like I have real relationships with people.
Right.
Like I've done real work for real people,
And-
like I could call LA Reid right now and he's going to pick up because I
Right.
executed for him when he needed me. Like there's people who say what they say, they've never worked with me, they've never met me, they've never spent
Right.
real time. So I wasn't worried that I was done, but I was more so just like, what now? Like, what do I want to do now? Like, that was like, I was working up to this point. Like, this was what I was trying to accomplish.
Right.
And that's gone. So that's when I really shifted focus and started focusing on building 1AM to be that go-to place for, all things music and entertainment for the digital age.
Right. So you had one of the most massive bounce backs from feeling deflated from like losing the dream job that you didn't have. Did MTV ever come back to you, or?
I put time and energy into Shake at that point as well, and ended up getting a big record deal and ended up on a huge album, and like popped a career off in 12 months time. So that was what God had planned.
Right.
Had I been, if I would have moved forward with that job, I wouldn't have been able to go on tour with Shake that summer. Wouldn't have been able to like put the content plays into place that were able to, go viral on the internet and get the songs out there and
Yeah.
do all these things in Times Square every day, 5 a.m. until 5 p.m. shooting TRL from
Yeah.
Monday to Friday.
Right. Right. I think that's amazing.
So-
That's an amazing story. How did you get involved with Kanye? And
Well,
what did you do? And what did you do with him?
So I'd met Kanye through Virgil, I believe. Actually, I met him the first time at the Watch the Throne concert through Maverick, because Maverick was bringing him the shoes, the LeBron Watch the Throne sneakers.
Yeah.
That was my first time meeting him. I was super starstruck. Then I got a notice to come audition for like Yeezy season in New York at one point, like around the time that I was doing the MTV stuff, because that's why I was in New York all that time for meetings. And then at the time I had just found this artist, 070 Shake, and I went to the fitting for Yeezy season. It was super quiet and intimidating in there. Everybody looked really scary, and I felt super uncomfortable and had a lot of anxiety. So I just like started playing music on my phone, and it's like dead silent in there.
Mhm.
And everybody looked at me crazy, and Pusha T was like sitting right next to me, and he looked up, and like in my head I was like, should I turn the song off? But then I was like, I'm like, nobody's actually telling me to turn it off. They're just like
Right.
looking scared, like I might get in trouble for playing it, but
Yeah.
I don't work for anybody here, so I'm gonna keep playing this song. So I kept playing it. It was Sunday Night by 070 Shake and Fee. And Pusha was like, who's that? And I was like, oh, it's this sick girl from Jersey. Like, she's fire. I was like, it only has like 2,000 plays. And he's like, really? And he's like, yo, send that to me. So I sent it to him. And I kept, pushing I was working with Shake, and we had kept like pushing and doing like live shows. I was doing parties in New York, and I'd play the songs, have her come out and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden we got connected with Steven Victor, and he had heard the song and wanted to have a meeting and to consider signing her to Good Music. And so that's how that relationship started, like a working relationship with Kanye and his camp. We never actually met him while we were going through negotiations to sign. But once we did sign, like maybe a year or so after, we got a call to, maybe not even a year. I have the timeline messed up, but we ended up getting finally a call. I remember being frustrated, like, dude, why'd this guy sign you? He's not even like, does he even know you're signed, you know? And then all of a sudden, like the same day that I called Shake and said, yo, should we try to get off the label? I got a email from Ye's assistant, and she was like, hey, Julz, Kanye wants to know if Shake can come to Wyoming to work on his new album. And I was like, oh my God. I called Shake and I was like, dude, he finally reached out and he wants me to go work on this album. And so, you know, we ended up going there. I just made myself useful. Like,
right. You were
like
a value add.
yeah, I saw that like there was people that were flying in to record that I'm friends with. But you know, Chance the Rapper was there, Partisan Fontaine was there, certain people were there, 88 Keys, all these different people, Saha, etc. And like sometimes Kanye didn't even remember that, you know. Well, I don't know how much I could say because I sound like an NDA, but you know, sometimes he wouldn't even remember that he had certain people there. So I'd be like, yo, you know, I have like, you know, he'd be like, oh, why don't I have an engineer? And I'm like, you do have an engineer. You flew 3 out. Like they're sitting there playing basketball on the courts. I was just with them. Why don't we get them in this thing, make an extra studio house and have these 3 rooms cooking while you're over here so that you don't feel like nothing's happening, you know?
Right.
And just little things like that. And he's like, okay, yeah, let's do that. And like next thing you know, like Shaq West and Lil Yachty are making a song in the barn house. You know what I mean? And like, okay, good. Like things are happening, you know?
Right.
He has an incredible team, but he's literally just like myself and yourself is an idea person. He's like a genius, honestly. And he has ideas for bulletproof vest material. He has ideas for like affordable housing so that there's no more like we end homelessness. Like this man has music playing in his head 24/7. He's seeing like fashion design ideas. He wants to like buy the Regal Theater in Chicago, run for president. You know what I mean? How could his team possibly keep up?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, you know, I was just filling in the gaps. And at that point, he was like, hey, I want you on board to throw this, you know, help with this album release party. So I just got on board, and his team was handling like, you know, calling the corporate people and Def Jam and iHeart and all that. And I was handling like, yo, let's make sure that Adam 22 from No Jumper is there, and that, you know, this DJ's there and this person. And does 2 Chainz even know you're doing this? Because they weren't thinking to invite 2 Chainz because it's like, they want to make sure the people that cut the checks are there, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, are the cool people going to be here?
Right.
You know, and great man. That was our first thing together. And then from there, you know, I heard he was going to Uganda for his album. And I was like, well, you're going there for inspiration, but like, what are you going to do anything? Are you going to leave them with anything? Like, is there some kind of project that we can do? Let's go. You know, he's like, yeah, well, look up. He had me do like a whole research thing on the top problems in Uganda. Yeah. The AIDS was the first, and I did extensive research, put a whole presentation together, only for him to at the end be like, well, what do you care about doing the most? And I'm like, well, before I did this whole presentation, the number one thing, and I said this to you, is that I want to go to the orphanages and, you know, see how we can help with the orphans there. Because that's a huge problem, being that AIDS affects the young parents, you know, takes the lives of so many young parents. Right. So kids are left orphaned. And he was like, all right, let's go. And, you know, I reached out to the embassy. He was like, just having that the ability to even just connect with the embassy, offer it, because I'm calling on behalf of Mr. West, you know, right. Is like incredible, and saying like, all right, well, what do you guys need? And they're like, we need cows, you know. So I'm like, how many? And yeah, I call him. I'm like, oh, okay, so they need cows. He's like, I don't want to hear about cows. Like, we need to build dormitories. Like, they want a cow, I'll get them a cow in like 2 seconds. You know, I'm like, all right, I don't know what kind of budgets we're working with here.
Right.
So it was just incredible. It was like life changing, and he just wants to help, and it was just amazing. But he works hard, and he has so much like crazy things going on. So, you know, he's dealing with a lot.
Yeah. So are you. And you're helping a lot of people. And just in this 30, 40 minutes we're here, people that are watching, and I feel like you help so many people. And like, the reason I'm asking, I'm going to tell you why in a second, is you give so much of yourself to other people and you don't feel like you get the appreciation that you deserve for the help that you give. Is that something that happens to you a lot throughout your career?
I think in my career, in my life.
Right. So I'll tell you what made me become me is because I was doing the same stuff as you, helping everybody. I wanted to try to make everybody else famous. I wanted to be the guy behind the scene that helped everybody else live their dreams, and nobody would listen to me, right? Because, and I'm sure you can relate, like, no, you got this idea, you gotta do that, you gotta connect it. And they're just like, yo, what are you talking about, right? And like, they wouldn't understand it. And then it was, my friend at the time was like, yo, why don't you just focus on yourself? If nobody understands your vision and you have this great vision, why don't you just focus on Clinton Sparks? And the minute that I focused on Clinton Sparks, my career, if I was stock, I was constantly going like this my entire career, and I've never went down. Because you know what? If I drop the ball, I pick it up and shoot it again. But but next time I dunk that shit.
Exactly.
Right.
Keep passing the ball. You can never guarantee that it's going to go in.
Right. And I think that you, Julz, just the Kanye story alone right there. And I think you got it now and you're getting it. And I think in a couple more years, you'll really fucking understand. Because I think you're already crossing, just talking to you and watching you live. I can see that you're already finding things within yourself that you didn't even know a year ago. Right. And I know that you're going to realize the power and the meaning and the value of you. And it's even though the what's bigger than you is helping others, but it's just like the old saying, if you're not good, you're no good to somebody else, right? So once you focus more on YesJulz and not worry so much about everybody else, watch how much you skyrocket straight up even faster than what you already are. Because realistically, you're the magic. Everybody else becomes magical because of your magic touching them. You're the magic.
Thank you, Clinton. I appreciate that so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for being the shit. Happy International.
Clinton Sparks, ladies and gentlemen.